over 55 years, your source for agribusiness news and features from around the Southeast and across the country, focusing on one of the nation's top industries, agriculture. The Farm Monitor is produced by the Georgia Farm Bureau in association with Abraham Baldwin Agricultural College.
All week long, we've been counting down the days, minutes, even the seconds, until we got to see you again, and voila, here we are.
Yes, here we are. Jennifer Parson, Ray D'Alessio with you for the next half hour, and once again, we have a lineup packed full of good features for you, including one that may bring a tear to your eye. Coming up, a routine task on his farm turned into a life-threatening emergency for Terry England. Now the former state representative is opening up about the accident and his determined road to recovery. Also on the program, he's blending tradition with technology, and it's paying off. Meet the young Georgia farmer who's receiving national attention. Plus, leadership learning and a little sand between the boots. How young farmers are finding purpose and community on Georgia's coast. All this and so much more starting right now on the Farm Monitor.
As farmers deal with falling commodity prices and historically high input costs, staying out of the red all depends on increasing their efficiency. And as Damon Jones reports, no one is doing that better than Riley Davis of Terrell County, who is using innovative practices in order to keep a family legacy running strong.
It's no secret that peanuts are big business here in Georgia, as the state is responsible for more than half of all U.S. production. That means the entire industry relies heavily on farmers like Riley Davis to make the most out of each and every crop. And if being named the 2025 Peanut Efficiency Award winner for the Upper Southeast is any indication, he is doing just that.
You know, winning an award like that is a huge honor, and I mean, efficiency is key right now, and it makes me feel that I'm on the right path, but there's still a lot of other factors other than only my peanut efficiency that play a role in the whole farm picture.
Between variable rate seeding, irrigation management tools, and precision spray technology, Davis has seamlessly adopted modern practices on the farm in order to keep improving efficiency.
Changing is a huge issue, but you know, you just got to do it. We got into one instance is we got into spraying with a spray drone. Which was, I mean, from my father's generation up the line is just, of course, unheard of.
Riley, who is a fourth-generation farmer, is quick to credit his father for nurturing a passion for agriculture at an early age. It's a sentiment he is passing down to the fifth generation, as his kids also share a love for being out on the farm.
He spent a lot of time with me, but he never pushed me to do a ton like you hear a lot of times on the farm, you know. He never pushed me away from it. And I'm thankful to him for that he never overdid it, and that's what I'm striving to do with mine. I want my boys to grow up the same way I did on the farm, to know what we go through and to know where their food and fiber and clothes come from, but I don't want to push them to do it.
With harvest right around the corner, the big question is, how is the 2025 crop looking? Early indications are that it could be a banner year.
Crop looks great right now. We got dry enough weather to get everything planted, get everything going, get it cleaned up with weeds, and we started catching some rains after that. So it's really been going good. Temperature's been hot, been very humid, but we've been getting ample rainfall to kind of keep things going and keep the irrigation caught up where we can irrigate. We're set up to make a good crop, and I don't want to talk good about it at this point because we got a long way to go, but the crop looks very good right now.
Reporting from Dawson, I'm Damon Jones for the Farm Monitor.
Thanks, Damon. And speaking of peanuts, next week we're bringing you a full recap from Panama City, where the annual Southern Peanut Growers Conference was recently held.
It's summer on the coast, and that means Georgia's next generation of ag leaders gathering on Jekyll Island. As John Holcomb shows us, the annual Young Farmers and Ranchers Summer Leadership Conference is all about learning, networking, and a little friendly competition.
Surrounded by surf and sand, Georgia Farm Bureau's Young Farmers and Ranchers Summer Leadership Conference once again brought energy, inspiration, and purpose to the Golden Isles as more than 200 attendees came together for a week that's designed for one important mission: building strong ag leaders.
It is a leadership development event that we have our Young Farmers and Ranchers State Committee put on. They pick out, carefully thought out breakout sessions, guest speakers that relate to everybody in the crowd. We've got competitions like discussion meet. We have a photo contest. We've got an Excellence in Agriculture Award. We've got the Achievement in Agriculture Award. So we really encompass a lot of different professional development type events at this conference. We pack it all into just a handful of days, and we hope to send everybody out of here with some inspiration to go back to their home counties, continue growing their Young Farmers and Ranchers program, or start one if they're not part of one now.
The importance of this event can't be overstated, as Davis says this event is tailored with these young future leaders in mind, giving them the space, tools, and knowledge they need to grow.
It is important to us in Georgia Farm Bureau to make sure that we're able to give them the ammunition they need to be able to effectively advocate for agriculture, be able to effectively share their story, and be able to effectively go out, grow these programs, get more people here so that we can continue churning them out, continue churning out these professional leaders or future leaders in the agriculture industry.
This year's theme, Where You Belong, was one that spoke directly to that mission, putting an emphasis on community and support in a profession that can often feel isolating.
We are all each other's biggest cheerleaders. We all want each other to succeed. We all want people that we can count on, that we can call on. You know, a lot of the things that we deal with as farmers, mental health, succession planning, all that, and it's like-minded people coming together that are facing those same issues. So I belong with people that have the same desire but also same struggles that I have, and I'm comfortable opening up, or I'm comfortable carrying on conversations or networking with those people because I know they face those same struggles. I know I belong here. I know I belong in this organization.
All in all, Andrews says that the hope for this event is to empower those that attended to keep moving forward as an advocate and future leader, building upon things they hopefully took from conference.
I hope that they have the desire to keep going. What else can I do? What other ideas do I have? How can I advocate more on a public level, on a community level? How can I advocate for people that may not know what Farm Bureau is and what it stands for? You know, it's not just insurance, but there's a huge other side of Farm Bureau, and it's things like this that brings that together and it makes it cohesively work. So I hope that they just take tools and principles back, and you know, just the things that they learn from breakouts, from general sessions, from mingling around, from the competitions as well.
Reporting from Jekyll Island for the Farm Monitor, I'm John Holcomb.
Still ahead, a candid look at Terry England's long road back after a devastating farm accident. What happened that day, and what's keeping the former state representative moving forward?
Welcome back to the Farm Monitor. Standing at 19.5 feet around and 127 feet wide and 117 feet tall, this is now officially the largest pecan tree in the state. And it belongs to Newton County farmer Brad Marks, who says it is truly a piece of history.
You know, you talk about your family roots. You don't get much better roots than that tree standing behind us, and it's been here. I'm 7th generation. My son and my grandson are 8th and 9th generation. To know that this has been in our family since 1832, and the people, the events, the things that have happened here over the years, it's just amazing.
For years, former Georgia State Representative Terry England was a steady voice under the Gold Dome, known for his deep roots in agriculture and his tireless service to the state. But earlier this year, life threw him a challenge, far greater than any piece of legislation. In a split second, a routine day on the farm turned into a fight for survival. What followed was a journey defined not by titles or accolades, but by courage, quiet determination, and the power of prayer. They say the soil doesn't forget the hands that tend to it. That here, in the stillness of morning and the rhythm of the fields, a person can find purpose. For Terry England, it's always been that simple. A farmer, a lawmaker, a public servant who walked the halls of the Georgia Capitol for nearly 2 decades, chairing the House Appropriations Committee, then stepping into the role of Chief of Staff.
You know, you wind up as you serve, you have things that you never had a dream when you started serving that would become important to you. Sure. And I was very fortunate that there were a lot of things that became important to me, and there were a lot of things that I was able to have a hand in helping with.
Yeah, and of course, you were a farmer before you became a politician. What does the farm mean to you personally? I'm not just talking about the work aspect of it, Terry. What does the farm really just overall mean to you?
Well, it's just a great place to live. I mean, you know, and where we're at today in northwestern Barrow County is not nearly as rural as it was 25 years ago, but still, you still know your neighbors. When you have something happen and something like my accident happened, the two first people there at the accident was my dad and my next door neighbor.
February 8th, 2025. It was supposed to be just another day, like countless mornings before it. But Terry's relentless work ethic, his deep love for the outdoors, collided with something no one saw coming. A routine task, a familiar piece of heavy machinery, and in the blink of an eye, everything changed. A freak accident, violent and unforgiving, left Terry fighting for his life with a devastating spinal cord injury that would alter his world forever.
If you cut everything else out of this interview, the one thing that I want you to make sure is in the interview, if you're on a piece of equipment that's got a seatbelt, there's a reason that seatbelt is on there. Buckle it with yourself in it, because it's there for a reason. One of my favorite things was to get on my skid steer and do work, clean up, and we had pine beetles hit us. And so we had a lot of trees that we'd laid down on the ground, and some of them still were good saw logs. So I was out there, had the forks on the front of the skid steer, moving them just from one stack to another stack. And you know, what happened with me, the load, I raised up, the load caused the machine to tip forward a little bit. I went to let it down, and as anybody that's run a skid steer knows, they go into this little bucking routine, and it was throwing me against the steel roof of the machine. I'd bounce back, hit the seat, bounce back, hit my head on the roof again. Did it 4 or 5 different times, and when the machine finally stopped, I'm sitting there, I can't feel my hands, can't move my hands, can't move my feet, my legs. When I woke up, I realized I've got to make myself breathe because I'm not breathing. So I was able, thankfully, my core still had enough use that I could make myself breathe.
Airlifted to Northeast Georgia Medical Center, Terry's fight began even before he opened his eyes. First, there was emergency surgery, then silence, but not surrender. In time, he was transferred to Atlanta's world-renowned Shepherd Center, a place where possibility is rehabbed just as much as the patient. For 2.5 months, Terry lived that mission. He worked, he struggled, he refused to yield. And beside him, 2 therapists, Kelsey Lee and Christopher Reddy, refusing to let him fall. They weren't just rebuilding a body, they were rebuilding a belief that this wasn't how his story would end. Then came May 9th, a quiet Thursday just after 10 a.m. No headlines, no parade, but a moment that needed neither. Terry England, once told he might never walk again, stepped through the doors of the Shepherd Center to return home. No walker, no wheelchair, just 2 feet and one unshakable will.
Again, we don't know why we were there, but we know that we were there for a reason. And, you know, is part of the reason what we're sitting here talking about today is what we experienced, and the reason that in these machines that have a seatbelt, put the seatbelt on.
So right now I'm standing where it all happened. This spot right here, where a simple day's work turned into something unimaginable. A place Terry England has walked across thousands of times until the one time that nearly cost him everything. And yet, this location doesn't trigger fear or bad images. It brings clarity. Because what Terry carries now isn't just the memory of the accident, but a new perspective. One rooted in faith, lifted by family, and strengthened by the hands of neighbors, fellow farmers, and folks who know what it means to show up when it matters most.
Knowing that our Farm Bureau family that we had, made years ago, 30 plus years ago when we were on the Young Farmer Committee, knowing that the Ag Teacher Network, that the 4-H Extension Agent Network, all of those folks put out the word that night or the morning after when they heard about the accident, and all of a sudden there are people everywhere praying for you. You don't come through those kind of things and not be a changed person and not have a little bit better outlook on life, especially when you're able to walk out and you know that it's because miracles happened and because prayers worked.
And I would not be doing my job if I didn't bring up one of your biggest supporters. It's not a former constituent, not a fellow public figure. It's your wife, Cindy, your high school sweetheart. Could any of this been possible without her?
No, absolutely not. She was there all the time. During the whole 3+ months that we were not home, she was home one day, and that was while we were still in Gainesville. She needed to come home and get some clothes, and then she was back at Gainesville.
Day by day, he's reclaiming movement, rebuilding strength. But maybe more than anything, Terry England is rediscovering the meaning in the smallest of victories. You see, a farmer doesn't quit when the crop fails. He replants, waters, and waits. Terry England is doing the same with a spirit that refuses to yield. Such a powerful testimony. Terry says that while he's still doing therapy, his biggest goal now is to help others, especially young farmers, understand just how fragile life can be and how important it is to respect the risk that come with the work. Straight ahead, one South Georgia cotton farmer shares how a newly updated farm bill brings more than just financial relief. It brings hope for the future.
The main issue with this fruit fly is that rather than infecting damaged or sort of rotting fruit like most fruit flies do, it actually infests ripe, ready-to-eat fruit. And that makes it a big problem for farmers who, of course, want to sell their fruit on the market. Drosophila suzukii, or spotted wing Drosophila, is this small, innocuous-looking little fruit fly. It is also very difficult to control with your synthetic conventional pesticide sprays because it completes most of its life cycle enclosed within the ripening fruit. And that leaves only the flying adults available to target. And those adults don't need much time at all to complete their life cycle and lay the next generation within a new crop of fruit. And one such strategy is something that we're working on. We are actually manipulating the behavior of the insect by disguising healthy, ripe fruit as being infected with this very damaging pathogen. It's also very unappealing to the flies as well. By studying the scent or the odors that are emitted by infected fruit, we were able to pick out a few particular chemicals that, when applied to healthy fruit, actually repel these flies from visiting the fruit and ovipositing or laying their eggs inside of the fruit. So in this way, to protect our fruit from being infested without having you use the fungus itself and without having to rely solely on synthetic chemicals. So this technology, what we would do is place it inside of a slow release container, but it's never going to come in contact with the fruit. And these chemicals themselves are fruity odors. So they are actually quite pleasant to be around, which might be surprising when you think of rotten fruit, and really should be limited impact to any consumer. And for the farmers, it's nice to work in a field that smells pleasant. Our next phase for testing these odors will be doing some small-scale field tests in blueberry fields out in New Jersey. Those will be done by my colleagues out at Rutgers University. And after that, if we have promising results, we hope to begin working with collaborator in industry to get this to market and in the hands of farmers.
Finally this week, from the Georgia Cotton Commission comes a conversation with Baker County producer Nick Lawrence, who gives a short update on the progress of his cotton crop, as well as his thoughts on the enhancements that were included as part of the big, beautiful bill.
The last couple months we've just been grinding, trying to get this crop in, and everything looks really good so far. Having a few issues with some plant bugs moving in. That's kind of a new thing that we're having to deal with that we hadn't in the past. But the crop looks good so far. We need some rains. We've gotten a few timely ones, but it's dry now. We're running pretty hard with these irrigations, trying to keep them going, and but everything looks good. Around July 4th, the big beautiful bill was signed and passed by Congress and President Trump. It's gonna, the updates that it made to our crop reference price is going to be give us a leg to stand on when we go to the banks and go to the our chemical companies and our input providers, and it's just updated. It's what we needed to give us a little more security, a little more hope moving forward, because we got somewhat of some assurances moving forward that we're going to be able to keep doing this. It gives us hope that, like I said, we can move forward throughout in my situation, for the next 5 to 10 years, of my career, to be able to help get a little bit more established and move forward, not having quite the concern of getting to January and sitting down with a banker and saying, hey, are you gonna let me do this again? And this gives us a little more security moving forward.
Before we go, we just want to remind you about our website, farm-monitor.com. Great place to catch all the latest ag news regarding Georgia agriculture.
And from all of us to all of you, take care, stay safe, and we'll see you right back here for another Farm Monitor. Have a great week.